Hello. So I've been trying to go live, but I've been having problems with my connection. So I came downstairs to see if it worked. It might have worked because I'm live now. There's our beautiful tree. Sharing the Christmas magic. We have a bunch of lights outside. It really feels like we are like a birdhouse in the stars. It's really quite cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go upstairs to my office. Today, I wanted to talk about New Year's. I hope you can hear me. Um, I wanted to talk about why I think it's silly to make New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter, because it's just the dead of winter. It's like the dead time. Okay, I'm gonna set you up here. Hope somebody shows up. There was somebody waiting when my connection didn't work. Let's hope I don't dump you on the floor, because that would suck. Okay, I think we're good. Hopefully you don't fall backwards. Some plane. There's like all these filters. I didn't realize that there were so many filters. Anyway, Leanne can't be here tonight because she's not feeling well. And so what I had planned for you was another guided visualization, but oh, I didn't know where my beer went. I had planned for you was another guided visualization that that had to do with the new year. And I started writing it today. And well, I finished, okay, I started writing it today, and then I realized how fun would it be if I made it episodic, like this. Lila, don't do that. She's just messing up the bed. If I created a sort of guided visualization. Lila, no. She's just totally messing up the bed. Okay, she's okay now. She was just ripping apart the bed. Oh, someone is here. Who is it? Oh, who's here? Is it Liz? Is it Leanne? Please make yourself known. Oh, I scared them away. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, so yeah, we were gonna do this guided visualization, and because Leanne's not here, I don't want to do it. But with this guided visualization, I thought of the idea of making it episodic. So you get a little bit at a time, and then it eventually leads, it concludes at some point in spring. So that was my idea. And the reason why I thought of that idea was because I don't believe we should really be making New Year's resolutions in January. It's the dead of winter. It doesn't even make sense to me at all. It's like, I mean, it's a good time to, if you're agrarian, to maybe kind of look back at the old harvest and, figure out what went wrong, what went right, and make a new plan, right? But you wouldn't be able to put that plan into fruition until you start sowing your seeds, which is not typically on January 1st. So who's here? I can't see. I can't see who's here. Is there any way for me to see? Oh, someone keeps coming and going, coming and going. So I'm just chatting here by myself. It's totally cool. so, um, so I wanted, so yes, I don't believe it doesn't make sense to me that in the time when we should be reflecting and hibernating, the dead of winter, the womb of the year, the tomb of the year, the womb of the year, that we should be making big decisions. It's a time for reflection and processing and grieving and looking forward. I mean, it's fun to look forward, but we should, and it's fun to, get excited about the future and make loose plans, but not set them in stone because we're just setting ourselves up for failure. So, did you know that New Year, the New Year's has been celebrated like ever since 2000 BCE in Babylon? Actually, it was Babylonia, and it was this festival called Akitu. I don't know how you pronounce it. Are there any people from Babylonia who can tell me how to pronounce it? Because that would be super cool. but yeah, but Akitu was celebrated during the spring equinox for 11 days, and I heard that was a pretty wild party, with like, you know, lots of sex. But I'm trying to remember, there was something very specific that had to pertain to their crops, but I can't remember like what they did. They did something very specific. Oh, so um, they would borrow equipment like from their neighbors or something. It had something to do with the way they borrowed equipment, or and that related to sharing. And I don't know. The resolutions were to return the equipment back, something like that. I can't totally remember. It was a long time ago. So so I got some notes here, but so besides celebrating New Year, Atiku also marked the time that Marduk, Babylonia's sky god, defeated Tiamat, the evil sea goddess. Meanwhile, the new year for Persians, Egyptians, and Phoenicians would start in the fall equinox. I got a little notification there. Now, I don't even get that. I don't know why anything would start in the fall. It's sort of like starting your life in, in as a middle-aged person. It just doesn't really make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? And I'm talking to no one right now, but I have I have great aspirations that people will see the after recording of this when I post it. So um so do you know why? Have you ever wondered about the months? Why, if you know any Latin or Spanish or anything like that, why December, DEC, which actually means 10, is the 12th month? That is because the Roman calendar only had 10 months, and and so it was, so they only had 304 days in their calendar, and March 1st marked the new year. So the 9th through 12th months, or September through December, that we often hear, was originally called the 7th through 10th months. So that's why you have September, October, November, December. Sorry, um, a Latinate prefix, or that aligns with 7, 8, 9, 10 instead of um, I terrible at counting. in Latin. Okay. So, yeah, so mm, so yeah, the early Romans, there's been a lot of calendars, like a whole ton of them. And they changed it, I think when Janus, let me see. This is so weird talking to myself. Talking to myself. Okay. Um, so they decided to, because of paganism, they decided to include add 2 more months in celebration of the god Janus, and so the other 2 months were January and February. Janus was like this god. I don't know much about it, but who could see forward and backwards. Hi, Liz. You just saved me from my whole like the soliloquy that I've been doing about Roman calendars and Babylonian New Year's, and it's been fun. How are you doing, Liz? Did you have a happy Christmas? Happy Yule? Cheers, by the way. So Leanne couldn't join us today because she's not feeling well. She's dealing with she's just her heart's not feeling well. I mean, her heart's physically fine, but she's just going through a rough patch. So if you want to swing by and give her some love, that would be awesome. Was it quiet? That's good. I ended up driving to Ohio and hanging out with family there. So was it just you? Or did you spend it with family? So I should read it. Elizabeth McGregor, or Liz, says her Christmas was very quiet. Cheers to you, Lovey. Thank you. She said, we had a lot of comfort and joy, stayed in jammies. That sounds awesome. That sounds amazing. We had some of that, Um, I thought we were going to stay here in North Carolina. I thought the weather was going to be against travel. Oh, okay. You're with your partner and said, well, that's really nice. That's awesome. What you eat. I always want to know what people eat. And do you have any plans for the new year? See, I was just saying that I don't believe that we should be making resolutions in the dead of winter because it is the womb and tomb of the cycle of life. It's like the dead time, it's a hibernation time. And it's a time for reflection and processing and maybe getting excited about the future, but not making really hard plans. And history kind of backs me up on this because way back in the Babylonian times, the new year didn't start until March 1st. And like even in Roman times, it didn't start until March 1st. Well, actually, it didn't start until the spring equinox, which makes so much more sense to me. And they even had a 10-month year, 304-day year they didn't have January and February. That was the dead period. You had lots of Liz says she had lots of veggies and they had some meat, no plans for New Year's. Fireworks scare the dogs. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have really fireworks. Well, no, actually, we did last year. We did have fireworks and gunshots. Um, America. And when I lived in Oakland in the Bay Area, we definitely had fireworks and gunshots. Lots of gunshots. It was crazy. We lived up in the hills in Oakland, looking over the city, and they had I called them um, rodeos. I called them like urban rodeos. I can't remember what I called them. They had sideshows, and a sideshow was when a bunch of people would decide ahead of time that they were going to block an intersection. And so they would come to the intersection, bunch of cars, bunch of motorcycles, block the intersection so not even police could get to that intersection. And then they would just like drive their cars in circles. It would make a heck of a lot of noise. There would be gunshots, there'd be fireworks. It was insane. And because I lived up on the hill, I could hear like there were probably sideshows happening every night. Hi, Meredith. How are you? Oh, you just remembered. Oh, well, that's fine. I had troubles getting on here. I don't know what was going on, but there was just serious connectivity problems. And Leanne can't be with us tonight because she's not feeling well and she's kind of going through some personal struggles. So if y'all can head over to her Instagram or YouTube or wherever and just give her some love, that would be awesome. Don't pry into her life, just give her some love. Yeah. Yeah, it was totally what I kind of liked the sideshows because in the Bay Area, I know people always call it commie California, whatever. It is the most capitalist place in America. Well, maybe New York, but it's incredibly capitalist. The hierarchy is well established there, and it's at all levels. Wherever you go, you are reminded, especially like if you want to go park, can you park on the street? How far do you have to walk to your destination? Do you get to park in one of those parking garages? Like it's so hard just to find parking, and you pay for good parking. And the richest people get it easy, and the poorest people are like, it's just crazy. So I in the weird funk of my mind, I kind of enjoyed the sideshows because it really felt like just people were taking back their space. They were just they were just and they were successful in doing it, and it just felt like a little small victory for me. Not for me, but for them. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I'm glad to be home too, Meredith. She says she's glad to be home. So she had to drop off her mother-in-law. Was it your mother-in-law? I forgot, Pennsylvania, and then go to Norfolk. We were driving all over Appalachia, her and I, not together. Yeah, when we drove back home, we drove back home from Ohio. We drove through the Amish country. We just kind of took the slow way home. Mike and I, we just needed some alone time, some quiet time, some driving through the country time. And it was really fun driving through Amish country because I don't know. I kind of get into the Amish. Have you ever watched the YouTube videos? I think his name is Peter Santronelli. Like he goes around and just hangs out with people, kind of like Anthony Bourdain, but with half the charm and no food involved. And he goes and talks to the Amish, the Hutterite. I think he talks to the Hutterites. He talks to poor people in Appalachia, really poor people in Appalachia. This cool guy named Titus who lives near the Amish, but he's lives all by himself, and he's like super religious, but he's like super wholesome, and he climbs trees and just plays outside and super self-sustaining. So Meredith says, yes, we drove from Maryland to Philly to get mom, then to Norfolk for Christmas, then Norfolk to Philly to home in Maryland. Yeah. Cheers to that. Was the weather sucky? We got a bit of rain. Once we peaked in the mountains, it just rained. It rained like crazy until we got home. The Spoon Lady. So Elizabeth says, have you heard of Spoon Lady from that area? From what area? From the Amish area, from Norfolk? I have not heard of the Spoon Lady. I don't think so. What does she do? Yes, your mother-in-law. Yeah, I'm curious about the Spoon Lady. But yeah, Peter Santernelli, he's like, he actually even goes to like the villages in Florida and just hangs out with someone who lives in the village. So he just hangs out with these people so you get kind of an idea of what it's like. And with Amish, he hung out with people from all like different Amish groups. So he hung out with the Beachy Amish, who are sort of like in between Mennonites and Amish, kind of a conservative Mennonite and a liberal Amish. Although, what was it? What separated? I can't remember. I can't remember. I just there's a reason why there's a separation between Mennonites and Amish, and there's two different people, but there's something very specific, and I can't remember. I might have to look it up. Weather in Norfolk was gorgeous. Oh, good. Is Norfolk near the coast? Elizabeth says, the Spoon Lady, she's in the Appalachian area. She plays spoon to raise awareness of homelessness. Oh, is she on YouTube? I'm gonna have to check her out. I'm like all into the Amish. I'm all into the Appalachian. I love um, like kind of that gothic Appalachian vibe. Like, I don't know, there's this guy I follow on Instagram and he just tells like kind of like ghost stories, but they're just like about his family and stuff. It's kind of like conversational ghost stories. Near Virginia. Okay, near Virginia Beach. Oh, well, you weren't very far from me. Although, just one second. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, so I just love that sort of spooky, gothic, Southern Gothic Appalachian vibe. I just dig it. And I know that there's something waiting for me in West Virginia. I don't know what it is, but every time we go through, I'm like, we have got to stop. Like I gotta know. I gotta know those woods. Oh, cheers, Meredith, too. I'm having something from Asheville, a Gaelic ale. So my husband drinks only stout, only dark beer, and it seems like all the dark beer is gone. It seems like only Asheville in North Carolina makes dark beer still. It's kind of weird. So what I was talking about, what I don't know. I don't know. Should I get off? I keep going down different tangents, but it's kind of weird, when you're not when the conversation is so slow. Will I save this live so you can watch from the beginning? Yes, of course I will save it. And I'm hoping that Leanne will be feeling better tomorrow, and then we can go live again because I have this guided visualization that I want to do, and I want to do it with all of our lives. In fact, I want to do a episodic guided visualization that is really a story. It's like a first person story that won't end until spring. Because as I keep saying, I don't think that we should be making our New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter. I think we should be doing it on the spring equinox at the beginning of the year. You know, when everything's budding, that's when we should make a resolutions. So I wanted to do this guided visualization that kind of takes us through winter and then pops us out into spring with all the answers. and and this I'm it's kind of a NASA trip because this is my mind. I've got a lot of like natural THC in there. So it's a different guided visualization. It's not going to be like your typical one. It's a little bit more imaginative. So, um, Meredith says, I love Asheville. Been longing to go again. Yeah, we spent a day in Asheville when we moved to North Carolina, and that was it. I would love to go back. I hear, since living here, that there are a lot of other cool places in the mountains, and maybe Asheville has, become a little bit kind of, would it be gentrified, just kind of appropriate. Oh, Meredith says that visualization last week was so beautiful. A really special experience together. Yes, thank you. That makes me so happy. Yeah, so I want to keep doing them. So we'll have an ongoing story that should be really fun. And it is fun. I'm making it really fun. I like Leanne to tell it if she can. And she edits it too. So that she makes it better. So I kind of need her. But it's such a fun creative project and it's just a fun way to I don't know, they're like I don't know. I never thought it would be so fun. Yeah, I want to keep it going. But hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to come back as soon as Leanne is able, although I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be traveling from January 2nd to January 6th. I'm going to be going to California to visit my dad. So I do plan on going live every Thursday, even if I'm in California. I don't know when that. I think I'll be back at that time though. Meredith, did you have a good Christmas though? About what are your food traditions where you're at? Oh, Liz says, I so appreciate you, wonderful souls. Oh, California. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you so much. You have no clue. Yeah, my dad lives in San Clemente, California. It's where I grew up before I moved to New Mexico, and it's a very special place. As Meredith says, yes, Christmas was wonderful. I'm so glad you had a happy Christmas. That makes me so happy. So what are your New Year's traditions in terms of food or any tradition? One tradition that I have pretty much adopted, I adopted it in Ohio and I continue it here. In California, when I was living in California, I didn't know that there was um, there was no New Year's tradition that I knew of. In New Mexico, oh, excuse me, I just burped. I'm not editing that out, but in New Mexico, people often had pozole, and I am going to be making pozole. I'll be making pozole tomorrow. I'm going to be making a green chili pozole, and it's going to be so good. I'm so excited about it. So pozole was kind of a New Year's tradition, and sometimes tamales, but usually those were done in over Christmas. And but in Ohio, people had pork and sauerkraut. And oh, Meredith says when I was growing up, my mom said we had to have sauerkraut on New Year's Day. Yeah, I love that tradition. I am going to be making sauerkraut tomorrow, but I'm going to be fermenting it. I have a head of cabbage, and I'm going to be fermenting it because I want to make sauerkraut and potato soup next week. Um, but yeah, yeah. So pozole in New Mexico, and then I started doing just Hop and John, just black eyed peas in Ohio, where other people around me in Ohio are doing pork and sauerkraut. But I like the plant based. Well, the reason why we eat pork because it symbolizes progress in countries like Austria. I'm reading Cuba. So eating pork on New Year's Eve is a common is a way to attract prosperity um, for 365 days. I don't recommend it though. You know, I recommend the legumes, the black-eyed peas, and in the South it would be black-eyed peas because we get all those lovely field peas, which I love. And black-eyed peas are a kind of field pea. But in Roman times, legumes um, symbolized financial prosperity because they looked like Roman coins. And so, um, yeah, I can make a video making sauerkraut. I might already have a video making sauerkraut, but I will make a video too if you want. So the sauerkraut, I can tell you too, really quick how to make it. You get a head of cabbage, you chop it up finely, you get it really shredded, and then you chop it up some more. You want it clean, of course, you wash it real well. And I actually just wash the whole head of cabbage real well, and I peel off the outer layers, and I don't wash it again. And then you weigh the cabbage. Sorry, you weigh the cabbage, and then you multiply that. You get 2.5% of that weight, and that's how much salt you need to add. And you just add that salt to the cabbage and massage it really, really well. You just keep massaging it, keep massaging it, keep massaging it until it's juicy. You stuff it in a mason jar, and you don't want to fill it all the way to the top. You want to leave a little bit of headroom because that water will, the gas in the water will expand, and it will, you know, explode over. So you want to loosely cap it, put it in a bowl to capture any liquid that can come out. And it takes about maybe 4 days to, I think, up to a couple weeks, and you can taste it depending on how tangy you like it. Now, you want to weigh it down too. You want to weigh the cabbage down somehow and keep it under the water. I do that I have like, I don't know where I got it from, but a little glass disc that I put on top of the cabbage, and that keeps it down. So, oh, Elizabeth says, Stevie, can you share your tamale recipe? Okay, I'm still working on that actually. I'm still working on it. I did make a tamale recipe. I did make tamales where I took a tamale recipe, just like a regular tamale recipe that uses lard, and I swapped out the lard with, I use maseca. It's a maseca tamale recipe, and I swapped out the lard with pumpkin puree, half pumpkin puree and half um, coconut oil, and it was fine. It was good, but you know what? It wasn't excellent. And tamales take so much work. You want excellence. You don't want to you don't want to you don't want to put in all that time to not have something that is amazing. So I'm working on it. I need to figure out how to get that moisture into the maseca, into the, masa batter, so that it's, like it's not dry. These tamales came out a little dry and I was disappointed. I have Meredith asked, do I have a special recipe for my black eyed peas? Okay, so today I actually shared a freebie recipe on Facebook. It was a jambalaya that I just kind of did it experimentally in the kitchen and it came out so good. And it's on Facebook. So it's also on Instagram and it's on Threads. And I can share it with you too because I have it. I could send it to you. I might have to send it to you like via email because it's like too long. No, I can send it to you. I can send it to you over Instagram or however you want. I'm gonna have a website someday, and I'm gonna, have all my recipes there. But this is a black-eyed pea, and I use the field roast, like the vegan sausage recipe. Meredith, if you're not vegan, you could just use the sausage. But field roast and black-eyed peas, a jambalaya with okra and everything. It's so yummy. And if you don't like okra, switch it out with zucchini or whatever you want to do. Um, Another black-eyed pea recipe that is so good. Um, I'm I think I did a video and I can't remember, but it's basically black-eyed pea stew with peanut butter. And you can go as elaborate as you want or simple as you want. You could just do, onions and garlic and black-eyed peas and like a cup of peanut butter, or I use peanut butter powder that cuts out a lot of fat. Um, and potatoes, I like to put potatoes in it, salt and pepper. You could be super simple and it is so delicious. You don't have to be crazy about it. Or you can be crazy about it and put in some ginger, coriander. Like you could do whatever you want. You can make it kind of Thai. You can make it more like African peanut stew, like the Ghanaian stew. You can do so many things with it, but black-eyed peas and peanut butter, like a black-eyed pea, peanut butter, broth, salt and pepper is so good. I really personally love just pepper with peanut butter. I think it tastes so good. There is there was, in one of my first plant-based videos, actually it's the first video where I go from vegetarian to plant-based. I make two stews, I make two colonial peanut stews, and there's a in Colonial Williamsburg. There's a tavern called the King's Tavern, and they have this peanut stew from like the 1750s. This woman owned the tavern. Her name was Jane Vaux. She was like a badass. Not much is known about her, but I could read. I know that she was at least a badass. And she made the stew. It's vegetarian. It's just like peanut butter and cream and garlic and salt, pepper and onion, and it's so good. So I veganized it with a coconut yogurt. I made a homemade yogurt, and the vegan version was actually even better. And that's because of the fermentation, that the tang from the yogurt made it better. So good. You did see that, Meredith. Okay, yeah. So it's a good recipe. It's really good. And I use Slap Your Mama. Do you have that? Slap Your Mama. I think it's like in New Orleans. Um, it's really good. But you can control the spice with that. It's not a very elaborate recipe. I mean, there's a lot of ingredients, but I mean, not a whole lot of chopping. Not a whole lot of different processes, you know? Mm. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing Basole. Um, you know, I want to because I'm going out of town and Michael's gonna be here. And if I just leave him alone, he'll just eat chips and salsa. That's all he'll eat. So I'm trying to make like extras of everything to freeze so that he has food. I know it's terribly old fashioned, but I don't think of it as, me not being a feminist, because if I were living with a woman, I would do the same for her. As we should all do for the people we love in our lives, right? We should treat them well, I think. So we have a third person here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. We are talking about our New Year's recipes, um, our New Year's traditions. Like, I lived in New Mexico, so we used to have pozole on New Year's. And pozole has pork, Meredith. That's like, slap your mama, huh? Meredith, yeah, you've never, have you heard of slap your mama? It's good stuff. It is good stuff. I'm so glad you're here. I'm wondering if Leanne is there. Leanne, are you in the house? I don't know who's here until they comment. So if you leave a comment and say hi, then I can say hi back. Previously, well, if you want to watch the replay, I did talk about how or why I don't think that we should be making New Year's resolutions in the dead of winter. That this is a time for reflection and hibernation and getting excited for the future, but maybe not making solid plans, because I think that just sets us up for failure. I think the true resolutions, like putting things into stone, shouldn't happen until spring. Oh, we got a fourth person here. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to our live. We've just been chatting about New Year's resolutions and New Year's food traditions. Who's here? Say hi in the comments and let us know what you eat on New Year's. Do you eat something to give you prosperity or good luck going into the future, going into the new year? Oh, Elizabeth says at midnight we open our front and back doors on New Year's Eve. I heard about that. To welcome in the new year, get rid of the old year. And you're in Canada, right? Is it cold? How long do you keep the doors open? You know, I watched this. I mean, I'm sure you're not like way up there. I can't remember where you are in Canada. Are you like in Toronto? I know you're on the East Coast. Um, I follow this YouTube channel called. Oh, Meredith said that she's seen that recently on social media. I it makes sense to air out the house at this time of the year. It gets, but I watched this channel on YouTube. This woman Cecilia, I can't remember. She lives in Svalbard. Do you know where Svalbard is? It's the most. It's like up by the North Pole. In fact, they have hurricanes. They have like reverse hurricanes there, but it's up in the North Pole. She like lives like right now. It's complete polar night. Yeah. Okay. An hour north of Toronto. Okay. No snow at this point. Yeah, it's been so warm here. It's like I was hot on Christmas Day in Ohio. 65 degrees. It's crazy. But yeah, Cecilia in Svalbard, she like when she does her bedding and stuff, she takes it all outside and she lets it air in the Arctic air and brings it in. And I don't know, that just sounds so nice to me to have some Arctic air to air out all my stuff. I'm kind of obsessed with the living up there, like all things up north. I don't know why, but I don't know why. It's just something that has kind of taken me lately. And in my obsession, like in looking for unusual places to live, I learned that there's a French-owned region of Canada in Newfoundland, Saint Pierre, I think it's called. Have you ever been to Saint Pierre, Elizabeth? I mean, it looks it's so I guess you go to Newfoundland and then you have to take a ferry out to Saint Pierre. Have you been to Saint Pierre? What's it like? I'm just so like I love like the offbeat places, you know. I mean, when I watched a video on it, it looked like it was kind of like, you know, like it was like France in the middle in the North American France. I guess I mean Quebec would be that the same as well, but it's different. It's different, right? It's like Saint Pierre is actually owned by France. It's not like a Commonwealth. I don't really understand it. I'm curious to know what Saint Pierre was like. Cheers. Cheers to whoever has joined us. Ah, old Quebec is like a. See, I'm dying to go there. I'm dying to go to like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. I've always wanted to go there. I don't know why I haven't been there yet, but it just fascinates me. Like one of the things that fascinates me is that those areas preserve some of the old world. Just like Appalachia preserves some of the old world, preserves some of and what is it? Ocracoke, the island in North Carolina, preserves a dialect that from from that came from Scotland, I guess. I mean, they sound very southern, but something about the dialect is preserved from I think it's from Scotland. And northern New Mexico preserves a an 18th century, I think it's an 18th century, maybe 17th century Spanish, like I'm going to sound ignorant, but maybe like a Don Quixote. Don Quixote period of Spanish. Maybe you and I, Meredith, will go to Nova Scotia together. There's I know, I spend my life on YouTube. I'm so sad. There's a Anglican priest who I follow on YouTube. His name is Ed Travers. He is amazing. He truly gives a shit. He truly gives a shit. And I mean, you could tell. um, but yeah, he's in the St. Margaret's Parish, I think, of Nova Scotia. Wouldn't that be awesome? That'd be so cool. Just to go to Nova Scotia. That would be so cool. Gosh, I hope our finances need to get better, and when that happens, we can do that. We still have that house in New Mexico that we can't sell because it's off the grid, and we were able to get a mortgage, but the laws have changed, and now nobody else can get a mortgage for the house, so we can't sell it unless somebody shows up with cash. Does anybody want an off-grid house in the mountains of New Mexico? I mean, doesn't that sound awesome? I have a house for you if that's what you want. It badass mountain biking. It's like the best mountain biking, just like right out your back door. So good. Off grid, passive solar, amazing. We collected rain off the roof. remind you again of that place you want to go in Virginia. Okay, yes. I want to go to Germanna in Virginia, which is, I know it's like a hour from Charlottesville, Charlotte. Germanna is the colony. It's in the Piedmont of Virginia, and it is the colony where my German ancestors first landed in America back in 1720. And I think it was a colony of like 47 people. Like they created this very small village and lived in a very hard way. Um, and they were indentured servants. They were just living in the middle of the woods. I think furthermost British colony at the time, and it was populated by Germans. um, but and that was like in 1720, and um I just wanted to go there. There's like ruins there, and there's a whole like visitor center, because you know how geometric progression works. There are a lot of descendants from that Germana colony. Tons. Like Doogie Howser, you know Doogie Howser. I think Brad Pitt is a relative of mine. Um, so many people, like millions and millions of people, like whole towns in in the Midwest were populated eventually from that colony. But some of those people went into North Carolina and hooked up with some Quakers, and that's how I got the Quakers in my family. Liz, you want to buy that house? It is beautiful up there. It's so isolated. It's so stunning. Bluest skies ever. When it snows, it's just virgin snow everywhere. Frost on the trees. Well, I mean, you're in Canada, you probably know. But the air just sparkles, and it's like you can hear it, like crystalline. It's so wonderful. Yeah, so yeah, Virginia, that's where I want to go, and I want to go to Germanna. The house is not near Taos. It's actually near Albuquerque. It's in a town, it's in Tijeras. It's not in the town of Tijeras. It's actually up in the mountains. The mountains are called the Manzano Mountains and part of the Rockies. The mountains, in the mountains in the Sandias, they're like the end of the Rockies, and the shelves, like here's how out like out well this is how the mountain works. This is the sandy. They kind of work this way. They just kind of make like a, imagine like the plates. Imagine like in the ocean, waves come up and they do this, but they don't come back down because they're not liquid. So that's how the mountains are. So the backside, it's not very steep and craggly. It's like kind of hilly, but it is beautiful. And it is so isolated, and it was so wonderful. I'm so sad actually about not selling it. I'm sad about, I mean, one of the most wonderful moments in my life, the most like, it's just like such a dream moment, was when my husband and I'm going to get teary-eyed, when we closed on the house and we got the key. And we went up. We couldn't move in just yet, but we went up and to look at it, and a monsoon came, like this crazy monsoon. New Mexico in late summer, we get crazy monsoons, lightning storms. They're freaking magical because it's like so dry and so hot, and then all of a sudden the storm, that you could see the storms coming from far off, and the lightning, and everything changes. You smell the whatchamacallit, can't remember what it's called. The rain smell. The petrichor. The petrichor. It's like that smell. Like, it smells almost like a garden hose. And you would smell that. And we were just standing underneath our carport, holding hands, just so happy. So happy that we were able to get a house together. And now this house is just causing so much of a headache. It's like this house is just kind of anchoring our relationship in a way. It's like it's giving us some of the best of the times and the worst of times. Cause yeah, but it is definitely proving that he and I are together forever, that's for sure. Yeah, sorry. mm, yeah. Oh, well, I think it's been an hour and I've got a massive kitchen mess. I made tacos tonight. The most yummiest tacos ever. It's one of my favorite recipes. I'm going to have to do a video. It's, I don't do it by recipe, but I can turn it into a recipe. But I just, chop up cauliflower really well and chop up a zucchini and chop up a bunch of walnuts and sprinkle on some cumin. Sometimes I use chili powder, but this time I used a tomatillo and a poblano. I put whole tomatillos in there, unwrapped, chopped up poblano, garlic, clove in their casings, in their shells, so they don't burn. Onion, just chopped up onion. I roast it for 400 degrees until they get like the way you want it. I don't know. And then I make like a cilantro crema with forager yogurt. I know Meredith likes it. Forager yogurt, just yogurt, more sauteed zucchini and poblano, cilantro, maybe some lime, salt and pepper. I blend that up until it's just like a green goddess dressing. And you don't have to cook the zucchini and stuff. You can put it all in raw, or you can cook it. I cooked it this time. And that became like sort of the crema, the sour cream sort of that goes on top of the tacos. And then we had guacamole. They're so good. So amazing. They're, I love them so much. I've been thinking about doing a taco cookbook because I love tacos so much. But yeah, so I have a big mess of all that down in the kitchen right now. It's so good. I yeah. So yummy. In fact, I did film some of it, so I might have like a little teaser video that I might put out soon. It just depends. I didn't use any lighting, so the lighting's not good, but it's whatever. I'm not trying. So one of the things that kind of drives me crazy about like food vloggers and stuff is sometimes they focus more on the aesthetics than the actual recipe. Sometimes the recipes aren't really well tested or they aren't very good. I do a lot of experimental stuff, but I typically won't write down the recipe to share with anybody unless it's kind of perfected or unless people just want it. But yeah, I'm definitely much more into the food, and then taking the pictures is kind of an afterthought. But this year, one of my New Year's resolutions is I'm not going to focus so much on photography, but I'm going to focus more on filmmaking. I'm going to study filmmaking a little bit more. I'm going to make my channel. Sorry, I keep coughing. I'm going to make my channel a little bit more lifestyle, a little bit more cinematic, I guess, or cottage core, cabin core. I don't know. I'm gonna do. Thank you, Liz. She says your cooking is so inspirational. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna make my recipes more catered to people like you, Liz, who are also good cooks, who just want to share ideas. I just want to share my ideas kind of with people who already know how to cook. Um, and then, and maybe they're not plant-based. I can help them get more into plant-based cooking, but be more kind of inspirational. And then I'll have the blog where the recipes actually will be if anybody wants to actually use a recipe. But on the video, I might not be fully in the kitchen the whole time. And I have exciting news because we're going to be I changed the name to Stevie's Earth-Based Kitchen. And we're going to be taking Stevie's Earth-Based Kitchen into the real world. We're going to, we're going to go to farmers markets and I'm going to sell my spices and shrubs and maybe teas. I'm not sure, but we're going to start with spices and seasonings. I got a dehydrator from my dad for Christmas. So I was just going to do the spices, but when I got that dehydrator from my dad, I was like, "Whoa! Now I could do shrubs and seasonings. I could do so much." So, yeah, so there's going to be a physical component to Stevie's Earth-Based Kitchen. And I just discovered that I can do ferments and dehydrated stuff and not even need a food license. So, ohala. I don't know why I said ohala. um, and then Michael's ornaments and all his beautiful wood things. We're going to sell those at the booth too. We're going to start at the farm across the street and then please export to get. Well, yes, that's the idea, is that the spices and stuff will also be on my website. And shrubs. Don't you think shrubs would be great? Because one of my New Year's resolutions is to drink less of this. And maybe not shrubs, but like create mocktails. I'm not going to do anything wet because that would require a food license. But I'm going to do mixes. Like I'm going to do a like my Cincy chili mix in a jar, like with the beans and then the seasonings and everything, and you could just put it all together and it's all there, mostly except for the water and the can of tomatoes. And other things like that, maybe Hoppin' John or the jambalaya or, just, with this, with my spice recipes and stuff. And then I can also dry fruit and make fruit powders. So the possibilities are endless. And my dad sent me a huge, like a very professional dehydrator because we thought that Michael would be dehydrating some of his wood in it as well. But it turns out he got something for Christmas specifically intended to dry out wood. So now the dehydrator's all mine. Will you be my first customer? Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So we plan on doing that in spring. I'm going to get a hold of the farm, and see if they will have me as a booth, have me there. I'll be there personally to hand sell. They don't have anything like that there. They're almost like a farmer's market. They've got it all, except for they don't have me. Yay! So yeah, I have to get on the website and build that. But I've just been trying to get my cadence in making videos. And that's been, kind of a struggle for me because I struggle with some executive functioning. But the good thing about executive functioning problems is sometimes you can be very ritualistic. So if you kind of make it a ritual, like these lives, I'm doing these lives every Thursday. It's my ritual. Well, when I went to Ohio, we did make some vegetables with the allspice that I made, and it was really good because, with my mother-in-law wanted to use it. But nobody else has given me feedback. I need to send them some recipes because I made Cincy chili spice, which is totally different than just regular chili spice. Cincinnati chili has Greek inspired spices in it. It's got cinnamon and allspice and cardamom. It's different. And the way you make Cincy chili is different than you make other chili. So if you're making it with meat, you literally boil the meat and you break it down until it's really fine, and then you just dump a bunch of spices in it, like cinnamon, chocolate, cardamom, allspice, oregano, a little bit of tomato, and you cook it, for a long time. Mine is vegan, of course. I use lentils and rice and beans. I use like 3 different things. And you serve it over spaghetti. And if you're not doing a vegan version, you top it with a ton of cheese. And sometimes I do that because it's so good. But I got to give people that recipe so that they know, how. And I also gave them za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern recipe. And nobody knows how to use that. They're waiting for me to tell them how to use it. But za'atar is so delicious. It's one of my favorite spice mixes. And one of the ways that I like to use it, well, a couple ways. I like to make a pasta with hummus. Like a hummus, I just add basically water to hummus, maybe a little tahini, and a ton of za'atar, and I make a cream sauce with it and add some vegetables. Super simple. The vegetables that I like to do with this are either roasted broccoli, just cut up real fine, or like tomatoes, one or the other, or both. Um, I also like to make a labna. You know what labna is? It's when you strain yogurt 3 times. And you can do a vegan coconut. You can only do it with homemade yogurt. I've tried with the commercial brands, and they just don't strain. But if you're just going vegetarian, Faye, the Greek yogurt, 5%. You strain that in your fridge. You strain it overnight until it's like a cheese. It's like the consistency of cream cheese. And you salt it. You salt it, but you put that on a bagel or toast. You cover it with za'atar. Put some cucumber on it. So good. So Meredith says, I've really liked the Cincinnati chili I've had in my life. Yes, I think it's so good. And it's like you either love it or you don't, but I happen to love it. Hi, Salgado's on the go. Oh, good. You guys, they live here. They live just a little bit north from me. And they have this awesome channel where, they travel all over North Carolina and Virginia and the mountains and everything with their sweet family. Very fun. Thank you for showing up. We're kind of closing up, but we were talking about New Year's traditions and why I don't think that we should be making resolutions in the dead of winter. I think we should make them for spring. But I'm not going to go through all of that, but I will save this live for later, and if you want to watch it. Liz says, oh, Steve, it all sounds so good. Meredith, what is in your chili? Meredith, did you have Skyline chili or did you actually make chili? So, Liz, in Ohio, there are there's a couple competing restaurants, but there's I've only had Skyline chili, and then there's Gold chili. It's just a very specific chili that you get in Cincinnati. And it was created by in the early 1900s by a man from Greece. He's the one who founded Skyline Chili. And they say that the spices are Greek, but honestly, I think they veer a little bit more towards Indian, kind of. It's kind of a fusion, because there's the oregano in there, but I don't know, the chocolate, the cardamom. I mean, I don't even know if the original recipe has cardamom. the way that I created my spice mix, um, is Michael brought home a couple cans of like the real Cincinnati chili with the meat in it and everything. And I heated it up and I went back and forth between my vegan mix and that, and I just tasted it until I got it right. Okay, so Salgado's on the go. Thank you for the sweet shout outs. I think we should better ourselves daily, and yes, and not worry about the pressure of goals. That's so true. So true. I know, like every day should be um um well, like for me, I think about being authentic is really important. Like making authentic decisions is super important to me. And that comes with like every decision. Like every decision you have an opportunity to have integrity. And that should just be every decision. Every decision remakes you. And if you fail, no big deal. You have another decision to make the next time where you can get it right. You it's like you're always you always have an opportunity to kind of redeem yourself. Um, but yeah, like it's never like you fail. You can always redeem yourself. And that's kind of how I feel. Meredith says she stopped making resolutions years ago. I always disappointed myself. Exactly. And I think that if you make resolutions also in the dead of winter, you're not at the right point yet. You need to kind of, meditate on what the past and where you want to go. And winter is a perfect time for that. It is the womb and tomb of the cycle of life. I do have a word though for upcoming year, for the new year. Do you choose words at all? Like last year, my word was intentional. This year, my word is mentorship. That I'm going to seek mentorship, especially from women. But you know what? I'm going to seek mentorship wherever I can get it. I want all the mentorship. I want to learn as much as I can from other people, and I want to be a mentor as well, to all who needs my mentorship. And yeah, so like whenever I see someone who just seems to be really in their zone or seems to be really killing it, I just appreciate that and kind of see what I can glean, like see how they can inspire me. I actively try to be inspired by people. And that's what my New Year's word is, mentorship. Like when I was in Ohio, oh, Becky. Oh, I love Becky. Becky is amazing. Becky is well, she's got the truest heart. She's so amazing. She is so strong and in a very soft way. And she is a master in the art of being, and I truly love her. Yes. She's one of my mentors. I wish I could bring her on video. She's like, "No." We are so blessed, that to live next to her. We're so blessed that we have like the two log cabins right next to each other. So the two log cabins were actually like it was one property, and Becky and her best friend actually built the two log cabins together. So I live in her best friend's house at the time, but they had to move for a job. I think they moved to Virginia. And so this log cabin became available. Well, it's actually been bought and sold a couple times until we bought it. And that's a whole nother story. You know what? It is 10:22. I've been on here for a while. And I got a kitchen to clean after those amazing tacos. So I'm gonna sign off right now. But I think hopefully we can be back tomorrow. Hopefully Leanne will be up to it and we will do that guided visualization, that funky guided visualization that is going to be episodic. It's going to be like a soap opera, the soap opera of your life. We will start that hopefully tomorrow. But as soon as she is feeling well, we'll start. We'll get that going. If not, next Thursday. Salgado's on the go. I feel like I'm in such a transition phase that my goals in December may not even relate to me anymore. Right, by December. So I try to have a couple goals per month, but it's more of to-dos than goals. Right. Yeah, I've already done a bunch of business goals for sure. And you and I, we need to talk business sometime. And Salgado's on the go. I love the membership idea. We can learn from so many people and things around us. We can. I mean, it's just if we are open, to learning from each other, to glean wisdom from others or strengths or whatever, instead of always like there's so many people who are out there just cutting each other down and jealous and um I mean I haven't felt jealous in a long time. That's one of the things that comes with I think comes with age. Although there's a lot of jealous old women, so I don't know. But jealousy is just the dark side of respect. You can turn that shit around. You could choose to respect someone instead of to be jealous of them. Good night, Meredith. Elizabeth, night, everyone. You're all incredible souls. Yes, and so are you. I know we are all incredible souls. I'm so happy to be hanging out with y'all tonight. I love you so much. My throat's gonna dry. All right, well, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I really, truly appreciate it. And look for live coming up soon, same time, 9 p.m., maybe tomorrow for that guided visualization. If you can't make it, because I know it's not going to be on a scheduled time, but if you can't make it, the video will always be recorded. Good night, beautiful woman. Katie. Okay, thank you. Katie said, "Good night, beautiful woman." I'm sorry I couldn't remember your name, but now I know it and I will always remember it. Good night, everyone. Gros bisous. Buonit. Bonne noche. Bonne nuit. Buenas noches. Good night. Good night, Katie. Thank you for putting your name there. I appreciate that. You took the cue. Okay, now I have to figure out how to close this. Fine. Good night.